Hi, students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a lovely weekend so far, staying healthy, productive, staying strong and optimistic. In this class, everyone, we are doing a question and answer session for our members. This is a members chat class, so everybody is welcome to watch. Once every couple of weeks, we do a Q&A session for members so they can ask us any kinds of questions about the exam or about the English language, grammar, university applications, and so forth. To become a member of the channel, just click the join button next to the subscribe button on our channel. If you don't see that button, you can always send me an email and I can give you more information and help. My email is adrian@aehelp.com. Hi, Rashika. Welcome to the class. Good to see members joining in. This class is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Please visit us there. And for the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of help for your English and lots of information as well. A lot of your questions can be answered there. So this is the academic IELTS website here with the blue background. We are an official British Council IELTS registration center, and we are British Council agents. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. And for the general IELTS, it's the green background, and you can click that big red button to join us there. And I'll show you where you can find more help once you join. Hi, Kuldeep. Welcome, BitCloud. This is a members chat question and answer Q&A session, members. So start thinking about your questions. It will be first come, first serve. So if you have questions about the IELTS or English, now is your chance, members. Think about your questions. I'll quickly show a little bit on the website so viewers know what they can get and where they can find help. So members, you should know this as well. On our website, at the top left, we have this forum and blog. So on the forum, you can discuss with other students. So there are lots of different topics that you can find, like how to score well in reading. There's people chatting in all languages about all topics. Sometimes you see a couple of nonsense spam as well, but most of the time there's a lot of valuable information. And if you ask a question, certainly people will help you out there. Also, you can click this Contact Us button. We have a knowledge base, and in the blog, we've got lots of very popular kind of questions as well. So we have lots of speaking examples with scripts. For example, IELTS writing task 2, learning via the internet. So lots of samples for you there as well. Okay, so check out the blogs, check out the forums on the websites. Lots and lots of help for you. By the way, we did fix our score calculator yesterday as well. We're usually very, very quick to react. So now when you click on the score calculator and you type in 25 or 35 out of 40, then it will give you the band score of 8. Okay, so the score calculator is fixed. You can check that out. Andre, 3:30 a.m. Wow, hats off. There's a saying in English, no rest for the wicked. It means that you're very studious in this case. Okay, everyone. So again, check out the websites. You can also get the apps, and you can check out Instagram. Lots and lots of information and help there for you. So if I don't answer some of your questions in the class today, members, then you can always send me an email or check out the websites for more information. All right, so Rashika, Kuldeep, BitCloud, Andre, Nico, fire away. Ask me your questions that you have about IELTS or English, and I will do my best to answer you. And in 90 minutes, we will have a speaking part 3 where everybody can join the chat. So you can ask me any question. I just did the IELTS exam, the official IELTS exam incognito in Budapest in February. So I have the fresh computer-based academic IELTS experience as well. So I can certainly tell you a lot of what's going on right now with the IELTS test. So go ahead. We've got a good number of members. And again, first comes, first serves. So whoever asks me first, I will address their question in that order. If somebody has a relevant question, then of course I will do my best to make connections to answer your inquiries, okay? So any question. If you're thinking it, somebody else is probably thinking it as well, and they will appreciate you asking. Okay, so Kuldeep says, how do you remember to use idiomatic language during the speaking exam? I never remember this. Kuldeep, okay, so to answer your question clearly, firstly, it's important to understand what is considered idiomatic language, all right? So I think, a lot of intermediate to advanced level English users actually use idiomatic language often, but they just don't realize it. Okay, so how to remember this? Is Kuldeep. It's a good question. How to remember when to use idiomatic language during the speaking? Okay, it's a good question, Kuldeep. Firstly, idiomatic language includes idiomatic phrases, okay, like the early bird catches the worm. Okay, which means people who get up early are successful. Okay, they also include simple idiomatic expressions. The reason I'm answering you in this way, Kuldeep, you'll notice here, and it'll make sense, okay? Excuse me. So, idiomatic expressions, such as I live in the heart of Victoria. Okay. To live in the downtown area of a city. Okay. And it also includes phrasal verbs. Okay, so phrasal verbs are also idiomatic language, and phrasal verbs such as I got across the idea of idiomatic language use to students. So here, the phrasal verb is got across or get across, and get across has multiple meanings as a idiomatic phrasal verb. In this case, I'm using it to mean convey. So I conveyed the idea of idiomatic language. Okay, so all three of these, Kuldeep, are considered idiomatic language. Now, what I always tell students, Kuldeep, is in the speaking, use idiomatic expressions, use phrasal verbs, but don't really use idiomatic phrases. Okay, oftentimes students use idiomatic phrases awkwardly and unnaturally, and that will actually lower your speaking score, and it's not necessary. You don't have to say to the examiner, well, the early bird catches the worm, so I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and the examiner's going to be, oh boy, did you just use an idiomatic phrase? You don't need to do that, okay? So idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs, those are the two types of idioms that I think are good to use. Again, you should only use them naturally and when you are comfortable and confident that you're using them correctly, okay? So I recommend avoiding the use of idiomatic phrases in the Ielts. They are not necessary to get a band 9. I got a band 9 without using them, okay? It is a good idea to use idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs naturally. Okay, that's really important to use them naturally. And a good way to remember them, practice common idiomatic expressions that you can use right away in the introduction. For example, yes, of course, I will show you my ID. Just wait a moment while I dig it out of my pocket. Okay, so a good way to remember it, Kuldeep, a good way to kind of show the examiner that you're confident and you're natural is as soon as you get these warm-up questions like, where do you live? I live in the heart of New Delhi. May I see your identification? Certainly, just a moment, I need to dig it out of my pocket. Here you go. Those right away will show the examiner that, okay, you have a grasp of some idiomatic expressions, and then don't force them. Phrasal verbs, Kuldeep, judging by your level of English, I think you use phrasal verbs anyway, so just use them naturally. You will pick up points for idiomatic language with those as well, okay? But don't force idioms because they can be very awkward. All right, does that make sense? So that was quite a robust, that's a very popular question about idioms in the Ielts for both writing and speaking, Kuldeep, so it was a good question. Hopefully that makes sense. If it makes sense, give me a thumbs up, Kuldeep. If it doesn't make sense, you can ask me in more detail through email as well, okay? All right, Andre, so Andre's asking, what about changing the timing of the live classes? Okay, Andre, that's a good question. The other time that I'm considering, because I think that's the other time that might work well for a lot of our viewing audience, is from, I'm going to do a poll, okay, so watch out for that, okay? Keep your eye peeled for a vote or a survey on our YouTube community posts for keeping the same class times versus Pacific Standard Time members chat class. 5:30. It means I'm going to be a real early bird, but that's okay. I don't mind that. 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. and 7 to 8 a.m. for regular class. That's the other time that I'm thinking. But if you have a suggestion, then let me know. So if you have a suggestion, let me know what your suggestion is according to UTC. Maybe I'll put that into the poll. So suggest a time according to UTC, which is Universal Standard Time. Here's a question for you members. I'm just curious. So how many of you think for you it would be better to have a members chat class at 5:30 a.m. and a regular chat class at 7 a.m.? So how many of you feel that that might work better for you? That's sorry, and that's Pacific Standard Time. So that would be just to give you an accurate idea. Right now, for me, it's 6:45. So that would be in 11 hours from now. So this would be like now plus 11 hours. I don't know if that would work better. Okay. So write to me in a full sentence, okay, so that I can understand, like, yes, this would work better, the early morning time, or this time that I'm doing right now. So what do you think? Honey, Nico, Andre, BitCloud, what do you think? The early morning time, the 5:30 a.m. my time, or this evening time? This is 6:30 right now. Okay. Because I think, I'm not sure exactly what time it is in India, but I think it's in the evening at that time. Okay. So Kuldeep, you like the earlier time more? The 5:30 a.m.? I'm not even sure what time that would be in India. Let me just, so PST and New Delhi time. Yeah, so right now it's 7:16 a.m. Yeah, so if I'm doing it, it would be like 6 p.m. in India. It's in the evening time. Yeah, I just checked that real quick. So, and I think in Russia it would be a little bit, and some of the former Soviet countries it would be a couple hours, a few hours earlier. It'd be like the early afternoon-ish. Okay, so. All right. Okay, so I'll do that survey, and that will be the other time. And then what I'll do, Andre, is if that's voted, if everybody's like, yeah, that's better, then I will make that the schedule from May. And also, we're halfway set up our better system, so much faster internet with faster streaming, more lights, so it's going to be much more dynamic. We're going to make all of this a touch screen as well. So, okay. All right. Nico says here it's morning time. It's always perfect for me. Okay. Honey says I think it's a better time. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. All right. I can kind of tell from the numbers too that those times might work better. So, all right. Some more questions. Let's see. Did anybody ask me any other question about the IELTS exam? So, yeah. Thanks for reminding me about the times. And I'll put a survey out there, and then we'll go off of that. Okay, BitCloud. Hopefully you're still here with us. I didn't see too much chatter from you. BitCloud is asking, in a computer-based exam, do they give a pen and a paper, and is it standardized in all exam centers? Yes. Yes, they do. Okay. And you can take notes on it. They give you one piece of paper for each section, BitCloud. So I just did the exam, and it is standard. I know people that did it in other places. It was the exact same in other countries. So the question is, do candidates get paper and pen for the computer-based exam? The answer is yes. Okay, so yes. You have your own pen. Because of COVID, right? So they do not actually give you a pen. You have your own pen, and you can bring a pencil. You can also bring an HB pencil and eraser. The eraser and pen, and pencil cannot have writing on it. Okay, so careful about that. You have to take that off. Okay, and you get a fresh piece of paper. So you get a fresh piece of paper with login information for each section. Listening, reading, writing. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit more information about that BitCloud because that's a really good question, and there's some important information with that. So, little bit more about the paper. You have to log in. So for each section in the computer-based exam, you log in. So when you go and you sit, they give you a login for your listening. You log in, you do the listening, and then you get logged out. And then you wait. They give you more instructions. The invigilator, they again give you another piece of paper. They take the first piece of paper, and then you have to log in with the information on that piece of paper, okay? And you have quite a bit of space beside the login information, and of course you have a complete white page on the back of the paper as well. I recommend before you start your section, after you log in, before you start your section, just turn over your piece of paper so you have just the white piece showing on the paper, and then you can write on that with pen or pencil. Where in the computer-based exam it's really useful is during the listening. So during the listening, where you have to listen for multiple choices out of a set of answers, the paper is very useful for notes. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean by that. Just give me 2 seconds. I think we did some of this yesterday. Let me see. Or the day before when we were doing the lesson on the Titanic. So I think it's this one here. Yeah. So here's a question. This was in our listening that we did this last week. What were the 3 benefits of a first-class ticket? And here you have A, B, C, D, E, F. So you have 6 choices. Now, when you're listening, you'll hear the speakers go, and people in the first class had amazing rooms. So instead of staring at these and trying to be like, where? Oh, it's there. You can just on the piece of paper write down amaze rooms. Okay. And then they had fantastic food. So food. Okay, very quickly you can write it down, and it's almost faster than searching for the answers there. And sometimes you have even bigger questions with more options where you have to choose 3 from. Okay, so that's the type of question where that note paper can be super, super useful in the listening section with your pen. Okay. And then the other place in the computer-based exam where your note paper is really, really useful is planning your task 1 graph response. Okay, so another great use of the note paper is for planning your task 1 response for the academic exam, the graph, because you cannot make markings on the screen. So that's one of the kind of interesting things about doing the computer-based exam is that for task 1 on the chart, you can't draw on your computer screen. So you have to kind of make a couple notes on the piece of paper what you're going to compare. Okay, you can do like a quick sketch of the graph and then even do it that way. All right. Yeah, BitCloud. So in Singapore, it'll be the same. All right. Okay, cool. So hopefully that answers your question about note paper, where the note paper is useful. Let me see what else we have here for questions. So, okay, so BitCloud says according to Singapore time, this time is actually better. Yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's impossible to make everybody happy. But our goal, by the way, in the long term, students over the next year is to offer more live classes. Of course, not just me because I need to sleep and eat as well, but to have more teachers and to do more classes throughout the day so there'll be suitable times for everyone. Okay, that is the long-term plan here, just so you know. Okay. All right. So Janelle says current timing is perfect, but can you start the live lesson after 1 or 2 hours later? I can't, Janelle. That gets really late into my day. Like you're thinking if I would start it at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I'm not a night owl, so if I start that late, I'm afraid the quality of the lessons would be poor just because I would be tired. So as you know, I'm a family man. I have one daughter and I have another one coming on the way. So I don't think it's realistic for me to do late night lessons. I don't think so. Okay, so I don't think that would work. Early morning, yes. It's easier to wake kids up early in the morning, but late night, I don't know. Okay, let's see. So Kuldeep, good question. So Kuldeep is asking about punctuation use. So can semicolons be used like semicolon, however, comma, or comma, however, comma? Both are common, okay? Punctuation rules, there are so many of them, and there are so many exceptions to punctuation rules. I could teach you 2-3 classes, no problem, on just that question, Kuldeep, the full stop, half stop, quarter stop. So instead, I'm going to show you where you can find that information. Okay, so Kuldeep is asking about the correct use of punctuation. Specifically, semicolon and comma. For example, however, or however. Okay. Yeah, both are fine. Okay. And you don't need to worry about it in most cases. You're not going to be losing band scores for that. This is a great example, Kuldeep, of finding this information on the website. So if you go to your My Student account at aehelp.com, you go to the blog, and let me see here. On the side, we have topics. Okay, so you have IELTS focus, IELTS information, learning materials, preparation, and reading and scores, speaking strategy, task 1, task 2, vocabulary uncategorized. I might go to task 2 for this one. Samples, question types, nope. Yeah, you might have to do a little bit of searching because we haven't organized these, but it's a good reminder to organize these. There is a specific one on punctuation. Let me see if I can locate that for you real quick, Kuldeep. Just bear with me. Because I'm pretty sure we did have that one. Okay. You can, sorry, you can kind of see the topics there. Let's go learning. I think that's where I was. I think I might be able to do a search as well. So there is a search. Yeah, right. Of course, I forgot. Our programmers are really clever. So when you want to search our blogs, just like right now, I realized that I can just do a search for punctuation, and then right away it gave me this blog topic here. IELTS task 1 and 2 using commas, and then so it gives you 12 rules to follow. There's a frog in my throat. Just a second. All right, so you click on that, Kuldeep, when you have a moment, and there's just a really nice summary of how to use commas, and one of them is the example that you just gave with the comma, space, however, comma, okay? So cool, Kuldeep. So go to the website, click on blogs in the search, type in punctuation, and up will come this task 1 and 2 using commas, and that's a really, really good one to read and practice, because using commas correctly in your task 1 and task 2 is definitely very important. That can and does affect your writing band score, so be really careful about that. Okay? All right? But again, that's in the blogs. Use the search that's built into the blogs and you'll find it. All right? Okay, cool. Yes, got it? All right. Okay. BitCloud says, because I'm curious whether, okay, yep, that's from before. All right. Andre says, speaking, is it changed from the last time you took the exam? Just the, no, not really, Andre. So speaking is very, very much the same in the last, I would say 6-7 years. And the only difference is because of COVID. They don't pass you the card. They don't take your passport from you. So just the kind of COVID regulations, wearing the masks, of course, that's quite different. But the format otherwise is basically the same. I think one difference, Andre, is the follow-up question in part 2. So yeah, it's a good question, Andre, because I'm thinking about it the more I talk to you about it. So mostly it's COVID. So speaking is a bit different these days, mostly because of COVID. For example, speaking with face masks. Okay. One important addition in the speaking is the follow-up question to your part 2 response. So they've been doing this for a few years, but I think maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, they didn't really have that follow-up question. They just said, okay, now we'll ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about this in part 3. But now they actually ask you a question. So I believe yesterday we were talking about an object used to control society, and we talked about traffic lights. So in the real exam, if you gave that answer about traffic lights, then the examiner might say something like, what is your opinion about the traffic lights in your city? Okay, and then you can say, well, I think that they are quite modern. The crosswalk lights indicate the number of seconds a pedestrian has to cross the intersection, and this is quite convenient. Okay, which is true. So in Victoria, the crosswalk, the light will actually count down. It'll show a little walking person, and then it'll show a hand flashing, and then it'll count down like 15, 14, 13. So this is kind of what's different, is that you might get a question like this, or not might, you will get a question like this following up your part 2 response, okay? So that's kind of different. And the reason they do that is because they want to make sure that you're being original, and it's more of a conversation than just a Q&A session, okay? All right, let me see what else we have from our members. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question there, Andre. All right, Honey says, how do I improve my vocabulary? Are there any books that you can suggest for that? Honey, that's a good question. Improving your vocabulary, Honey, you can do that in so many different ways, and the trick is to do it in different ways. So don't just study vocabulary from a book. Don't just use flashcards. but also read lots of books. Read for enjoyment in English. So when you have half an hour, pick up a magazine or pick up a book and read some English. Watch movies in English, and of course, use the vocabulary. So speak and write as much as possible, because using the vocabulary is what crystallizes the vocabulary for the future. Okay, honey? So, honey, understanding vocabulary, that's half the story. The other half is using that vocabulary. There are lots of different books which kind of focus on vocabulary. What I would recommend, honey, if you have a bit of funds, maybe it's a question back. Do you have an e-reader, like an Amazon Kindle, for example? And there's a reason why I'm asking you that, okay? So a great tool to help learn. You can probably do this on your phone or tablet as well, but the Amazon Kindle is really beautifully designed for this function. So a great tool to help learn vocabulary is an e-reader like Amazon Kindle, whereby you can tap on new vocabulary and get an immediate definition and synonym while you read your favorite story. Okay. Also, there are a number of vocabulary game apps on Play Store and App Store. Just download some of the most popular ones and play them in your spare time. Whoa. All right. So that's what I would recommend, honey. Instead of going for a specific like paper book, there are some like that as well. There are some that are specific to the Ielts, but I don't think that that's necessary. I think just generally improving your vocabulary is the best idea. Yeah, if you look at these apps, you download the popular ones, and you have an e-reader. Your phone can do this as well. You might have to change some settings, and then you just tap on the word, and it will give you the word, okay, and then reread. So that's what I would recommend. I think technology is very useful these days for vocabulary, okay? Yeah, so honey, use the Kindle. If you have a Kindle, use the Kindle. So download some books in English that you like, and then use that to highlight vocabulary. It's super, super, super efficient. Okay? Strongly recommend that for vocabulary. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? So BitCloud says, a little off topic. Yesterday I emailed A-Help to request access to videos, request an exam. Okay, BitCloud, that's great. We'll grant you the access. If by some chance we missed that email, just email us again, but you should have access within 24 hours, okay? I'll check with my team, but it's hard for me to remember going from class to class and then back to the admin responsibilities. So if we missed it, if you don't get a if you don't get a response within 48 hours, should never take more than 48 hours for us. So if you don't have access within 48 hours, send another email, okay? And we'll definitely catch it, all right? So don't be shy. You will get that access, okay, to those exclusive videos, all right? Yeah, so and this is for all of our members. Make sure that you're getting your perks. So if you haven't gotten your perks yet, then send us an email so we can hook you up. Okay. All right. Let's see. So Saga is saying, sir, do I need to have snacks and when should I go to the washroom? Saga, you cannot have food with you in the IELTS exam unless you have special permission because let's say that you're hyperglycemic, which is a type of condition where you need sugar every now and then. But then, of course, you need a special doctor's note for that, and then they might allow you to bring in some food in a transparent Ziploc bag with no writing on it, like a chocolate bar or something like that. But otherwise, there's no eating in the IELTS. You can have water with you, but even your water bottle, you're not allowed to have any kind of tag on your water bottle. When should you go to the washroom? Good question. Maybe never. Saga, the reason I say that is I think I lost some marks in my writing because I went to the washroom and it actually took a long time because I had to take an elevator to get to the washroom, which was crazy. I had to travel 4 floors to get to my washroom and I couldn't review my writing the way I wanted. But anyway, you cannot go during the listening. You can go during the first 50 minutes of the reading and during the first 50 minutes of the writing. Okay, so you can use the washroom in the first 50 minutes of the reading or writing section at any time. You cannot use it in the last 10 minutes of these sections or during the listening section. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's kind of crazy because every minute is valuable, as I discovered in my IELTS exam. Every minute really is valuable. So in a perfect world, you have just the right balance of hydration, whereby you don't need to go to the bathroom. But if you do need to go to the bathroom during the writing or during the reading, especially if you're like still like you feel like you need to go to the bathroom and you're just starting the reading section, yeah, go to the bathroom because it's going to really be distracting and painful if you have to hold it for 2 hours. Okay, so that's kind of, that's the best answer I can give you. Unfortunately, there's no perfect answer here. At least it's not the MCAT, which is 8 hours long, right? The medical entrance exam. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, Kuldeep says, sir, in the course, we have to keep screen running. Otherwise, the screen turns off after screen time gets out while we are listening to premium classes. I have increased my screen time out to 10 minutes, but I have to keep touching the screen to keep it going. Kuldeep, can you send me an email on that so I can look into exactly what you're saying? Because I'm not 100% clear. So I have an idea, but can you please send me a detailed email and then I can take a look and reach out to our techs if you're referring to what I think you are in our full course. Okay. All right. Nico says, how can I use leading expressions in part 1 and 2? Because it's a bit confusing for me. You mean part 1 and 2, Nico, in the speaking, I'm guessing, is what you're talking about, leading expressions. Leading expressions, there are so many. So leading expressions of time, like just the other day, okay, would be one. All right. So Nico, when you're giving an example, leading expressions are very, very useful. All right. I'll give you an example right now. Okay. So they're especially used for examples. Okay, anytime you have a time expression, that's a leading expression. So just the other day, I met up with three of my friends and we played tennis. So that would be a common type. There are lots of different leading expressions that you can use, not just time, but all of those different contrast, opposition, cause and effect. So all of those conjunction types as well. Okay. All right. Okay, so I see that you have a few more questions, Andre and Janil as well. I'm going to stop here for today. Okay, those are some good questions to Andre and Janil, but I'm going to stop here for today. And don't be shy, just send me those questions via email, and I will happily respond to them within the next day or two. Okay, I'm going to set up and get ready for the next class, which is speaking part 3, questions and answers. And that will be coming up in about 40 minutes, where everybody will be able to join the chat. All right. So make sure to hang around for that. That's the final class for this week of live streaming. So take the opportunity. And I'll definitely make a note to do that survey on the class time. So keep an eye out for that. Get your vote in, okay? And hopefully I'll see all of you shortly. I'm Adrian, and I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria for now. Again, for all of our viewers, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gltshelp.com for general IELTS, supported by state-of-the-art native apps. We have Instagram. We are world leaders when it comes to IELTS preparation, and we're always adding new materials and new strategies. You're very, very welcome. Great questions today, members. Great participation. I'll see you all shortly. Bye for now.